huge martial law. The only justice about that, if there is any, because this is from the Lord. I mean, this is from the Lord. He really wants to test his people at that point. Because you've got how many religions around the United States right now in the world itself? You've got denominations upon denominations upon denominations. And if the Lord is not the author of confusion and division, then who is? Satan is. So who is the real author of all these divisions of churches? You walk into these churches, and you see Satan, pictures of Satan in them, and you see Mary and the mother idol worship of Eve and all this gross blasphemous stuff. I can't walk in churches today. And I think a lot of them are going to be surprised to find out that this Jesus they've been worshiping, all this pictures of him above their pulpits, is Sananda, is the Satan, and the very one that's going to be demanding that everybody get chip implanted. Everybody get this chip in around their right hand or forehead. Join his kingdom, Maitreya's kingdom on earth. If Maitreya is the first beast, then this Jesus that's coming is going to be promoting him as God. I believe he's going to die, and he's going to come back, and when he comes back, then he'll be coming back as God. And that's when this Jesus, passes legislation demanding that the whole world worship him as God, worship this first beast, this Maitreya, as God. And of course, this Maitreya is nothing but a cloned beast of Cain. And he's chip implanted. They're all chip implanted. This Jesus that's coming, this Sanada, he's chip implanted. All these Ashtar command people, chip implanted. Satan's entire kingdom is chip implanted. And they're all controlled. They're all just controlled. And there's a level above them that's controlling them, and someone above that level that's controlling that one. It's just this never-ending pyramid of control. It's a ladder. You know, people talk the corporate ladder. I mean, that's how his levels, his whole kingdom is. Everybody's controlled, and it's all chip implanted. And so that's why when they come to Earth, the first thing they want to do is chip implant the population, because you can control chip implanted people. A chip implanted population is a controllable population. The only bright spot in the whole thing is the renegades. Those who refuse and rebel against Satan's rule on earth. That's the only bright spot, the fun part you ever see in the Bible codes when I look at it. And so I know it's going to be like that in the last days the same way. But that's what's coming. There's some kind of airdrop in Boulder. And I don't know what this Boulder is, but it's coming up. There's something coming up in regards to that. Don't know if the United States is going to be under... I don't know what the Boulder is. I mean, it could be, doesn't say comet, doesn't say meteor, doesn't say bomb, just says boulder. And so this huge rock, because that's what a boulder is, a huge rock, is going to drop from space. And that's something that's coming. I don't know where it's going to hit. My guess would be America, simply because, America's always dominant in the codes, alongside with Jerusalem. One of the things associated with this whole zombieism thing in the second half, if you want to call it the second half of the tribulation period, is the fact that it pretty much makes Jerusalem a wasteland. The Joel invasion, Joel chapter 2, and Jerusalem, all mentioned during that particular time frame. And so that's how you know these aren't human invasions that the pastors in today's churches teach. You know, they talk about Joel 2 like it's Ezekiel 38 and, it's the Russians and the Germans and all these, Joel 2 is a northern army, from northernmost parts of space. It's an alien army. And this army itself is what Joel's army is. And it's going to make Jerusalem a wasteland. And that's going to be hitting the second half of the tribulation period. I always kind of divide them too, the first half pre-chipping and then after chipping, because for me the whole tribulation period divides everything that happens before the chip implantation is enforced and then everything after, because when you look at it that way, you see all the judgments coming as a result of people getting chip implanted. If you're too coward, you're too afraid to die, and so you go ahead and get this chip implant because you don't want to starve to death, or you don't want to trust on the Lord and depend on the Lord to keep you alive at that point. You're going to die anyway. I mean, I can't stress enough that once you get that chip, it's over. And so, you belong to Satan, and at that second, he can soul scalp you, and you can become immediately possessed by an alien and demonic being who will hold on to your body for no reason, just because they want a human body. They don't want to go to hell. They fear hell. They fear hell. They fear death. And so that's another good reason to look at this. People who say hell doesn't exist, why don't you, ask one of them? Because these beings are afraid to die. They don't want to die. Lizards, greys, all of them, they don't want to die. They're afraid of death. Because they know what awaits them. And so that for me, pretty much the whole tribulation period is divided in half. Everything that happens before chip and then after the chip. And I think we're going to be here for some of the stuff. Sometimes I think we're going to be here, and other times I don't. For certain things. Sometimes I think we're going to be here to watch Maitreya's invasion from space. Maitreya arrived. Can't seem to get a quick handle on whether he's going to literally arrive in the skies and make a big procession or just show up, and then Iran's going to be announcing, hey, Maitreya's here. He's in Ethiopia and whatever. Because Ethiopia is one of his stomping grounds. Libya, those two nations are his stomping grounds along with Iran and Iraq. But when he arrives, it's pretty much over. That's when, because the other horseman, the fifth horseman, Jesus is right behind him. And that's a huge alien invasion when Jesus comes, because the Bible says the fifth horseman, hell is followed by death and Hades. And just another terminology for this huge alien invasion, the Anak invasion coming with this Jesus. When Maitreya is here, you're going to see the locust invasion of Revelation chapter 9. It is these locusts that the Orgone will destroy around the world. That infuriates him because we're taking out his forces. And sometimes I do think we're here for that, and other times I don't think we're here at all. So I don't think it's set in stone. Otherwise, I would see it one way or another already, because these codes seem to be in real time for me. I can see things happening right now or coming near. And so it's interesting. It's really interesting, because one of these nears that I always see that would get most of the Faction 4 excited is that they're going to be taking off the earth. It's either that. There's two different routes. One of the routes being that I get arrested. Me and Maitreya go at it. Finally, face to face. And he starts coming after the Faction 4. Or the second route, we're not even here. We're just gone. The Lord doesn't allow it. He decides, no, you're not going to get your hands on her. And he takes us off the earth. And so it's one of the two. I've always told him, for 8 years I've known about this. I've said, I'm ready to go. I'm just ready to do whatever you want me to do. Whatever needs done, I'm ready to do. I don't care which one it is. Because if it's better for him, that things happen one way, then that's what I want. I want whatever he wants. So it's going to come down to either one. You're going to see either one happening. You're going to see me arrested and him come after the Orgone warrior movement, or you're just going to see the Orgone movement taken off of the earth by the Lord himself and protected. And so it's going to be one or the other. I know his warriors, all bold, all brave for him. And so it's going to come down to one of those two. And that's one of the things that are coming next. That's one of the things you'll see imminent, near, closeness. Because the whole thing with him is getting ready to hit. It's getting ready to fulfill. There's really no much time pushing the clock back any further. People get enthralled with politics today, and I keep an eye on it. This whole Al Gore thing would just, it's so Omega, and it would just be so typical of their plans to have Al Gore and Hillary together at the last days, because Hillary's always been a double agent. She's always been one of these people that have had one foot in the alien agenda and one foot in the New World Order agenda. And so she's always just kind of been in both agendas. And so Al Gore, totally lizard. One of their main leader on Earth is Al Gore, and this Ron Paul is just a puppet for him. I was just reading today where Condoleezza Rice might join Kane's son, John McCain, on the Republican ticket. I can't strike out Obama yet, even though he has quite a few assassination codes, to where he would never even make it very far after even being elected president.